Here we go.
This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Skip Money.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast of the Tri-Cities in Western North Carolina. So today, I'm very excited to have a guest with us in the studio for the first time, and super interested to learn all about them and what they do. And I'm sure you will be too, because today I have the pleasure of introducing your good neighbor, Mr. Adam Lamb, who is the owner-operator of Chef Life Media, LLC. Adam, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Skip. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I'm excited to hear all about Chef Life and what you do. So if you don't mind, why don't you kick us off and tell us about your gig?
Sure. I started in 2006. I've been in the culinary industry as a chef and done lots of different things, worked in many different types of operations, ownership styles. And in 2006, I started a question, which was, you have two chefs of equal skill sets. Why would some cooks follow one and not the other? And they would say, oh, it's leadership. And I said, yeah, that doesn't tell me anything. Like, I need to know what the ways of being are that they're showing up as, because I wanted to model that. And I didn't know if I had a clear idea of what that looked like. So I've been on this journey to figure out what makes great leaders, because it's the one thing they don't teach you in culinary school is how to be a leader. They teach you everything you need to know about food and running a dynamic environment like a kitchen. But when it comes to leadership, you know, if a chef is lucky enough and they've worked hard enough, at some point in their career, they get handed a set of keys and they say, okay, you're the guy now, or the girl, and now you lead the people. And while you can manage a food cost, you have to lead people. And if you have never had that skill set, if you don't have any frame of reference for what that is, it's pretty easy to fail, as I did several times in my career. So now I focus my business wholly on coaching and mentoring chefs to become great leaders so that they can create thriving, regenerative environments and a culture where people want to come to work.
Wow, fascinating. Chef leadership. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, so, Adam, what are some myths or misconceptions in what you do in leadership and being a chef?
Well, I think the first misconception is just because someone is a great, say, a great server, that doesn't necessarily make them a great floor manager. Or there was a book, the study in the 60s, they called it, the book came out called the Peter Principle, which the idea was that everybody within an organization will get promoted to the level of incompetence, meaning that without a steady stream of education and mentorship, it's hard to take on that next position unless someone's willing to stand there with you. And too often, folks just get thrown into the deep end of the pool and expected to learn. And while that may work in some businesses in the hospitality industry, it doesn't. And the other thing I want to mention is that it seems to me that there's a misconception in running a food business versus hospitality. And I think generally speaking, one needs to be really grounded in this idea of hospitality, of being hospitable, of being in service to someone else or something else in order to be a great restaurateur or chef or whatever. And too often it's about the monetary distribution and who's going to get on top or not. So for me, it's coming all the way in my career, it's coming all the way back to those really simplistic ideas of like what makes a great leader. And I love the quote from Patrick Lencioni in his book The Motive. In the very end of the book, he says, we got to stop calling it servant leadership, because anything less is not leadership.
I love it.
Yeah, man.
I love it. Anything less isn't.
It just isn't leadership. It's something else, but you can't call it leadership if you're
leadership,
not.
Right.
Yeah, a responsible.
At
he
your
claims it.
teach leadership.
Pardon me?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. It's just a little glitch. How do you teach leadership?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have we just finished up a 12-week leadership boot camp with 7 chefs of very differing occupations and levels. And I'd like to call myself a career coach for chefs, but really it comes down to like self-leadership. Like, in what way am I showing up every day such that there's an idea called presence over position, which means I show up grounded in my presence and I don't necessarily have to throw my weight around or raise my voice. It's just the way that I'm interacting with everybody. And there's also some strategy around that. and how you start your day, how you end your day. But typically it's, ending with gratitude and waking up with gratitude and spending some time in reflection and getting grounded before going into the shop so that you present a calm, grounded presence. And it's a lot easier to lead from that than it is from any kind of frenetic energy. You know, I think people think that chefs are like these mercurial, bohemian, artistic people, and some bad behavior will be enabled by that, because as long as the chef's happy, everything's fine. Well, that's also, a little bit of bullshit, because enabling bad behavior just makes it a higher degree of possibility that you're going to lose your best people, because if they're following the rules and someone else isn't, then what does that mean about them? So keeping an environment where everybody's managed by standards, fair and equal, is really a great way to go about having a business. So
Wow. So who are your target clients, folks that
So,
you
yeah.
want to mentor?
Yes. So typically it's chefs, probably at the not the very beginning of their career, but just, kind of early to mid career. Very often, one of the things I keep hearing time and time again and talking with chefs is just how unhappy they are. They feel like they're undervalued, that nobody appreciates them, that nobody understands the hard work that they put in. And I felt that way for a long time in my career, until I realized that how could anybody really appreciate everything I do, and how much of my heart and my spirit I put into what I do all day long. Because and if I continue to do that, I'm giving from an empty cup. So if I'm not having some type of regenerative processes around, like self-serving, self-sourcing myself, I'm going to be constantly looking for validation out there, and there's never enough out there to make anybody feel good. So again, kind of coming back to this idea of self-leadership and how I'm taking care of myself so that I can show up for others. And and to be honest, there's lots of reasons. I mean, there's the culinary craft, right? And I think most chefs can chart their way all the way back to whoever inspired them. And then there's the business. And very often there's some conflict there, because some chefs think that it should be this way, but their job is actually this. And so it's a process of like really being where you're at, having what you have, and really pouring yourself 100% into that so that you can be present in every moment, because that's really where the fun is.
That's where the fun is. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Well,
where I find my joy.
besides work, when you're not doing what you do.
Oh, I'm an
That's
avid,
wonderful.
yeah, I'm a physical
Um,
kind of guy, so I love
so when
running.
you're
And
not finding your joy
go ahead.
with your work for fun.
Love to write, love to podcast. I know that that's kind of work related. Uh, I love to exercise, run. I like to make cheese, you know. Some there's some great goat milk up here, man. So
Cheese.
yeah. So eh,
Oh,
during the
wow.
pandemic, I decided that, well, I was fully employed, but I thought, what a great opportunity to rediscover what it meant to be up here in the hills and actually have an abundance from the garden, and like what the hell you do with it. And so like I was kind of reteaching myself some old craft ways around fermenting and cheese making and all that kind of stuff. It was so much fun, and really to me it spoke to like the essence of what a chef really means. And so that was really cool. Yeah, still love it.
Same here. Same here. I love it. So, Adam, if you could think of one thing that you'd like our listeners and viewers to remember about you and about Chef Life Radio, what would that be?
Yeah. I guess it's as simple as just we before me. You know, Helene taught me a lot. I mean, I lived in South Florida for 20 years. I've been through 5 hurricanes, and there was something about Helene that just felt different. Especially the energy, the way it cut through the hills. And I think sometimes we forget who our neighbors are. You know, we get into our own lives and start living. And I really saw a community come together in a way that was very profound. And I'm really proud to be part of that community. And so I'd like to keep that for myself more present every day, right? Like I'm part of a bigger thing, and be in service to that in whatever way makes sense.
Very cool. Yeah, I couldn't agree more on Helene. That was it was different. I've lived in North Carolina for a long time, and I've been through quite a few hurricanes myself, but never thought that would happen here. But yeah, it totally changed a lot.
Yeah. And I saw people showing up in a much different way than I had experienced. You know, I've been here since for about almost 8 years now, and first thing that struck me when I was here is, you know, the people and the way that they interacted with one another. And I saw a guy with his wife and child out in front of the Publix, you know, putting out food. And I said, "Well, you part of some church group or something?" He's like, "No, man, I just emptied out the freezer, just here, giving it away." And I thought, wow, that's really cool, man. Because the first hours afterwards, man, I was kind of struck dumb. You know, I was just like, well, what the hell just happened? And kind of stuck in my own processing. But most of these people were out. I mean, the next morning, all the trees were off 25/70. And I know those guys were out there. And those are all my neighbors and their pickup trucks out there, and they're driving rain, chopping this stuff down. And nobody asked them to. They just did it. And to me, that taught me, like, you don't have to ask for permission to do something good for your community.
Neighbors helping neighbors, very
Yes, sir.
positive thing, and it's been heartwarming to see. Actually,
Yeah,
in
because
Western
I
North
think
Carolina, see people coming together.
yeah, I think the impression now is that
and
we're
I
all
apologize for the
separated.
technical difficulties here, but
That's right. Yep.
Still got you?
Yes, sir. Certainly do.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Got you back. Had
Thank you,
the
sir.
internet gods were not being kind to us there for a second. So very good, Adam. If we've got any listeners that are chefs that are interested in learning more, would like to be a student of yours, how do they learn more?
Yeah, anybody can reach me several ways. One is Adam at cheflifecoaching.com. You can check out the podcast, Chef Life Radio. It's everywhere on the podcast directories. And I have a pretty big presence on LinkedIn at chefadamlamb.com. And you know, if you're in the neighborhood up Weaverville way, man, stop in and say hello. You can have a cup of coffee on the porch and just hang out.
All right. Sounds good to me. I'm not too
sir.
far from you, so I may take you up on that.
Yeah, let's do that. It'd be fun.
Well, awesome. Well, Adam, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to spend some time with our listeners and myself to tell us about you and Chef Life Radio. And we wish you and your company and your family all the best moving forward.
And to you too, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And maybe we can have you back sometime.
I would love that. Yeah.
All right. Sounds great. Have a great rest of the day.
You bet, sir. You too.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnptry-cities.com. That's gnptry-cities.com or call 423-719-5873.
Skip, I'm curious. I don't see on my side
All right.